You know, it's kind of wild to think that it's already been 10 months since this thing, the iPhone 16 came out. I remember the whole buzz around it, the new design, the promises of, Apple Intelligence, all that stuff. And I was thinking, a lot of people are probably in one of three boats right now. Maybe you're like me and you've been using this phone every single day. Or maybe you're thinking about picking one up now that the price has, settled a bit. Or you could be holding on to your iPhone 16, looking at the new iPhone 17 leaks, and wondering, should I upgrade? So I figured, let's just sit down and have a real chat about it. No crazy benchmarks, no spec heavy talk, just how this phone really holds up. 10 months later, we'll talk about the design, how the battery is doing, the camera, and yeah, we'll get into the whole iOS 26 beta and Apple Intelligence situation. This is my 10-month updated experience with the iPhone 16. Okay, so let's kind of rewind the clock a little. What was the big deal with the iPhone 16 when it launched? I remember the first thing everyone talked about was the design, especially on the standard models. They brought back that vertical camera layout, which was a nice little throwback. And for the Pro models, we got slightly bigger screens and this new camera control button. This button, yeah, it was supposed to be this revolutionary thing for photographers. And I mean, the hardware itself was a big step up. The A18 and A18 Pro chips were and still are super powerful. And the cameras got some serious love, especially with the Pro models, both getting that 5x zoom lens. But the biggest promise, the thing that was supposed to define this generation, was Apple Intelligence. And at launch, well, it wasn't there. It was a coming soon feature, which felt a little weird, to be honest. It kind of felt like we got the hardware for the future, but the software was still catching up. So that brings me to the first thing I want to talk about, the design and just, the physical experience of using this phone. 10 months in, and I have to say it's held up really well. I do use a case most of the time, but there have been a few accidental tumbles, and as you can see, the screen is still flawless. The ceramic shield on this thing seems legit. The frame still feels great, it's light, it's comfortable. My only little nitpick is that without a case, it can be a tiny bit slippery. But yeah, build quality wise, it's an iPhone, it's solid. Now, the display. On the Pro model, it's fantastic. It's bright, it's smooth with the 120Hz Pro motion, but, and this is a big but, for the standard iPhone 16, it's still 60Hz. And in mid-2025, it's a tough pill to swallow. If you're coming from an older phone, you might not notice, but if you've ever used a high refresh rate screen, it's just one of those things that feels a bit dated. Okay, so let's move on to something that's, super important in the long run, performance. The A18 chip in here is, well, it's a beast. I mean, for my day-to-day stuff, email, social media, taking photos, a bit of gaming, it doesn't even break a sweat. It's incredibly fast. Now, I'm running iOS 26 Beta 3 on this iPhone. Well, as you can see, it's all new redesign since iOS 7, as Apple says. The new design with liquid glass is beautiful, delightful, and instantly familiar. It gives you a more consistent experience across your apps and devices, making everything you do feel fluid, a fresh design. With the optical qualities of glass and a sense of fluidity, liquid glass brings an expressive new design to your lock screen, home screen, control center, apps, and more. Dynamic controls. Across apps, liquid glass controls reflect and refract their surroundings and fluidly morph to bring more focus to your content. Visual intelligence now lets you search, ask questions, and take action with the content on your iPhone screen. Do more with visual intelligence. It builds on Apple Intelligence, so you can search across your most used apps, add an event to your calendar, and ask questions, letting you do more with what's on your screen. But and you knew there was a but coming, the experience hasn't been perfect. And it's not the chip's fault, it's the software. See, when I'm running the latest iOS 26 beta, it can be a little, let's say, unpredictable. There are some stutters here and there, some weird little bugs that pop up. It just lacks a bit of that polish that we're all used to from Apple. It's gotten better with each beta for sure, but it's not quite there yet. It sometimes feels like I'm using a powerhouse of a phone that's just being held back a little by software that's still a work in progress. But yeah, the performance is still there. It just, beta things like not stable yet. I'm testing gaming on it. As you can see, I'm playing AAA game on it. Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's playing pretty good. Alright, let's talk about the battery. This is always the big question after a few months, right? So new out of the box, the battery life was amazing. I could easily get through a full heavy day. 10 months later, it's still pretty good. I'm a fairly moderate user, lots of screen on time using mobile data, but not too much gaming, and I can still comfortably make it to the end of the day. My battery health is, let's see, it's still 100%, which I think is pretty good for 10 months of use. I do try to use that 80% charge limit when I can, and I think that's helped. So yeah, no major complaints here. It's reliable. Now the camera. This is one of the main reasons a lot of us upgrade, right? And the hardware on the iPhone 16 is just, it's incredible. The photos are sharp, the colors are great, and having that 2x sensor zoom is a great feature. I use it way more than I thought I would. Low light performance is also noticeably better than my old phone. But beyond the lenses, we have to talk about the camera control button. And I gotta say, I like this new thing. I can easily access the camera every time I need to. And that feature where you can half press it to focus and then full press to take the shot, it's great. It feels like a proper camera. But yeah, for me in the beginning, it was not that good, I'll admit it. I sometimes accidentally touched it, just like a lot of people were saying, but 10 months later, I've totally gotten used to it, I've adapted, and now it's good, it feels natural. And it's something that Apple rarely does, Usually Apple makes a new feature for the newer Pro models only. Like last year, the action button that replaced the mute switch was just on the 15 Pro and Pro Max. The base 15 didn't have it, and now the base 16 has that action button. But with this camera control button, Apple didn't do that again. They put it on all the iPhone 16 models from the start, which is a really nice touch. Okay, let's get to the big one. Software. Right now, as you can see, my iPhone is on iOS 26 Beta 3. And with it came the thing we've all been waiting for, Apple Intelligence. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's fine. It's a bit underwhelming so far. The new writing tools are kinda neat, but I don't find myself using them all that often. Genmoji is fun for a day or two, but that killer must-have AI feature that changes how I use my phone, it's not here yet. It feels like a foundation, a beta for a bigger idea. And that combined with the general bugs of a beta OS makes the whole software experience feel a little incomplete. I'm hopeful for the future, but right now, Apple Intelligence isn't the reason to own this phone. Alright, so after 10 months, what's the verdict on the iPhone 16? Here's how I see it. If you're using this phone right now, I don't think you need to rush out and grab the iPhone 17 when it launches. This is still an incredibly powerful, capable phone with a great camera and solid battery life. The software will only get better. You're in a good spot. If you're thinking about buying an iPhone 16 now, I think it's a solid choice, especially if you're coming from an iPhone 13 or older. The jump in performance and camera quality will be huge for you, but be aware of its little quirks, especially the 60Hz screen on the standard model. And finally, if you have an iPhone 14 or 15 and you're thinking about the 16, honestly, I'd probably tell you to wait. The iPhone 16 is a great phone, but it's an incremental step. The promise of Apple Intelligence hasn't fully paid off yet, and with the iPhone 17 just around the corner, you might be happier waiting to see what that brings. So yeah, that's been my experience. It's been a fantastic, if slightly flawed daily driver for the past 10 months. It's a phone that feels like it has so much potential that's just waiting to be fully unlocked by the software. I hope this was helpful. If you have an iPhone 16, let me know what your experience has been like down in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.